Hi, everybody. Katherine Reay here, and welcome to the 10-Minute Book Talk. We are so excited about today's book and today's guest, but first, I will introduce my co-hosts, Rachel Linden and Marie Bostwick. And today we have Renee Rosen, a good friend of mine and a wonderful writer, and her book, Let's Call Her Barbie, has been out for a few months. Its reviews are amazing, and she is here to share it with us. So, Renee, welcome. We are so delighted you're here. And
Oh,
tell us a
thanks.
little bit about Let's Call Her Barbie.
So, this is a story behind the creation of the world's most iconic doll. Um, People will be surprised to learn that Barbie's DNA was a German prostitute gag doll, a novelty doll for men. That was sort of the inspiration for Barbie. There are reasons why Barbie has such a tiny waist and such tiny feet. And just all uh, the drama that went into bringing this doll to market when everybody said you cannot give a little girl a doll with breasts to play with. It's indecent. And Ruth Handler persisted. Her team of creative rebels at Mattel persisted, and they defied the odds to bring to market a doll that would empower young girls to do and be anything they wanted, anything they could imagine.
Hmm. I like, everybody else. Is there anybody here who did not have a Barbie at some point when they were growing
Oh,
up?
no, I had like
No,
15.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, yeah, that was the toy we all wanted when we were kids. So this is such a fascinating idea for a book. So what inspired you to tackle this story about, an icon and a legend that also happens to be a doll?
So I just want to state for the record, I had this idea before the movie came out. It was 2019, and I was on a panel about feminism. And one of the women on the panel with me was very high up in the doll division of Mattel. And she told me the story of why Ruth created Barbie. And I immediately got goosebumps, and I knew I was going to write a novel about it. But I had two other books that were already in the works. Um, and the more I did research and the more I dug into the story, the more I was like, how, fact is definitely stranger than fiction. I had no idea all the drama that went on behind the scenes to create Barbie.
So interesting.
Love that.
Who has the next question?
Oh, I think Catherine may have frozen. Oh, Catherine has
Oh,
the next question. Catherine's in Montana and she is having internet provider issues. So I'm going to
Oh,
ask her question and my question. I get to do too. So Catherine was going to ask, can you tell us like how you decided to approach this story? Because you're talking about a doll that spans decades and decades. You could have gone at it from so many different angles. How did you decide how you were going to structure the story?
so don't try this at home, but I decided by not deciding. Um, I I do everything when it comes to writing, I do everything wrong. I don't know where I'm going. I don't outline. I work all that stuff out on the page. And, so after I do a certain amount of research, I just start writing and I let the characters sort of guide me.
Mm,
So this was really their story, and I was just kind of a vehicle along for the ride. And it was a fun ride. It was a super fun ride. But I've learned for myself, I can't control my characters. That's when I write myself into a 20,000 word corner and I have to untangle it all.
mm.
So I just let the characters lead. And, between Ruth and the head engineer, Jack Ryan, and, the other characters, they just took over. So it was not like a conscious approach to how I was going to develop the story. Ruth just walked into that boardroom with a doll that was basically a German prostitute novelty gag doll and said, "This is the new toy," you know. Um,
amazing.
so, and then, she was off and running.
Wow, that's fascinating. It's so fun to hear how other people do everybody
Everybody
has
has
their
their
own
own
method.
process,
And
right?
like we produce these books that work at the end, but the getting there is always so different.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm curious, as sitting here in 2025, I was someone who played with Barbies. Barbies sparked my imagination. I was never the one who did like prom dresses and the shoes. Like mine were on a cruise ship being chased by a serial killer, or we were doing Greek mythology, or
As happens.
as
Yeah.
happens, Swiss Family Robinson. And so I'm wondering, in 2025, as you're sitting here, what is it? What's the nugget that you want readers, modern readers, to take away from this story?
Well, because it's 2025 and we look at what's happening all around us, I think not only, Let's Call Her Barbie, but books in general, I think people need an escape. I think people need to turn off their minds for a bit. Not that reading doesn't, require the mind, but just get away from the news, get away from the social media, just go someplace that feels safe and warm and inviting. And one of the things that I've heard from people is that this book has brought back so many great childhood memories that they forgot about. They forgot about their easy bake ovens and GI Joe and Skipper and the whole. And so I think providing an escape right now is so important. And I can't think of getting lost in a story. There's nothing better than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lovely. Thank you.
Well, I love that. So I'm going to jump in and do the Katherine part. So, but I do want to say this. I love too the message that Ruth Handler was saying is like, a doll, right? It's sort of a tool for the imagination, and that she really
Absolutely.
wanted little girls to be able to imagine themselves doing anything. And
Yeah.
Barbie was a reporter, and she was an
She was an
airline
astronaut.
and everything else.
She
And I
had a
just,
home when women couldn't even take out a credit card in their own name, let alone a mortgage. And Barbie had her dream house,
exactly.
With an
So
elevator.
there's so much about this book that I find so appealing. So I appreciate that. And I'm really glad you wrote this story. So I got to say, that's bringing me a little joy today. But I want to know, Renee Rosen, what is bringing you joy today?
So I think what's bringing me joy is I'm kind of going on a spiritual journey. I am. And I'm just trying to find some inner peace right now. And I'm trying to, I don't even know how to describe it. I'm just going on a spiritual journey, and that is bringing me immense joy.
Oh,
That.
beautiful.
And you know what? I think it's okay that I think every spiritual journey, you don't start out with an idea of what it's going to be, because if you know what it's going to be, it's not a journey, is it? So
Yeah.
I think that sounds like a wonderful thing to be joyful about. So that's great. Good for you. Guys, you know what's bringing us joy? You're here, you're with us, we're reading great books. And if you want to be back next week, you're going to find even more joy, because we will be here at the 10-minute book talk. Catherine's internet will be restored by then, I'm confident.
Yay.
And we will be here with more bookish fun, more great authors. So we will see you next week here at the 10-minute book talk. Thanks for joining us today. Thank you,
And thank
Renee.
Bye,
you.
everybody. Thanks.
Bye.